This is a review of the book I Capture the Castle. Dodie Smith's novel I Capture the Castle is a journey through the mind of a young writer as she attempts to chronicle her daily life. 17-year-old Cassandra Mortmain has recently learned to speed write, and she decides to work on her writing skills by describing the actions and conversations of those around her. Cassandra lives in a 14th century English castle with an interesting cast of characters. Her beautiful older sister Rose, her rather unsociable author father and his second wife, artist model Topaz, Stephen, the garden boy, a cat and a bull terrier, and sometimes her brother Thomas when he is home from school. One fateful day, they make the acquaintance of the Cotton family, including the two sons, and a web of tangled relationships ensues. While I definitely recommend this book to other readers, I would recommend it to older teenagers, mainly because it will resonate better with them. The writing is tame enough that the younger teens could also read it, but most of the characters are adults or on the verge of adulthood. Older readers would take the most from it since they can not only relate, but they may also better pick up on and appreciate Cassandra's sometimes subtle humor. Over the course of the novel, Cassandra undergoes a definite transformation from child to mature young adult, even though it's only over the course of several months. I love that I could see into her mindset and read exactly what she was feeling when she thought out situations. Her thoughts flowed well and moved the book along very quickly. Cassandra's narrative voice is wonderful. She is serious at times, but also very witty, which makes for an engaging read. It feels absolutely real, as though I'm reading someone's actual journal. Sometimes I forget that I am reading a story and not a real-life account. Her emotions and the dialogue are so genuine, and they are spot on for the 17-year-old girl in her situation. Cassandra has many wonderful insights on life, on topics ranging from writing to faith to matters of the heart. I personally have had some of the same thoughts as Cassandra, except Miss Smith was able to put them into words. Capture the Castle should be essential reading for aspiring writers, those looking for historical fiction or romance, or anyone who loves reading amazing classic books. Dodie Smith is an exceptional writer, and I Capture the Castle is a book that will never become obsolete. Now we're going to read a review of the book called Frankenstein's Cat. This is reviewed by Xander H., a 12-year-old. Frankenstein's Cat. I appreciated Frankenstein's Cat for its fascinating explanation about the often baffling subject of bioengineering and its sister sciences. Emily Anthes explains the many sides of today's modern technology, such as gene modification, clothing, pharmaceutical products from the farm, prostheses, animal tag and tracking, and gene cryogenics. This book provides a well-rounded summary of those complicated sciences without being boring or simply factual. Her real-world examples take us on a journey from the farm to the pet store and then from the pharmacy to the frozen ark. Have you ever wondered if the neighborhood cat is spying on you? Read about Operation Acoustic Kitty and find out if this feline fantasy is fiction or fact. Do you think bugs are creepy? What about zombified cyborg beetle? Is Fido so special that you want two of him? Money can buy you almost an exact copy of your pooch, but don't expect the same personality. Emily Anthes makes you crave more information. She makes you want to know the future of Earth's flora and fauna, as well as humanity itself. I would highly recommend this book to anyone who desires a guide to the future of biological science and technology. Frankenstein's Cat is best read by the light of the glow-in-the-dark fish while cuddling your favorite clone dog and drinking a glass of genetically modified milk. Now we'll look at a review of a movie, and this format could be used for reviewing movies or television shows. It's also clear about 9 minutes into Trolls World Tour, when the glitter's flowing and lovable creatures are crooning "Trolls Want to Have Fun," that the animated sequel is a sugary sweet cure for the quarantine blues. Unlike pretty much every other major studio movie during the time of the coronavirus, Trolls World Tour, 3 stars out of 4, rated PG, available for rent on digital platforms such as iTunes and Vudu, decided for a streaming release rather than wait for a conventional theatrical window. And it's a gambit that pays off, especially for audiences who dig fun tunes and neon-drenched fantasy adventure. While not quite as subversive and refreshing as the first Trolls, World Tour offers endless cuteness, an impressive voice cast, and just enough depth for grown-ups and children alike to chew on. The original 2016 Trolls centered on embracing one's community, while the sequel finds its main characters, Poppy, voiced by Anna Kendrick, and Branch, Justin Timberlake, figuring out their roles in a bigger landscape. Poppy is a queen of the pop trolls, and Branch is still living in an underground bunker like a doomsday prepper. Who knew that would be so relatable now? Yet they can't quite find a harmonious connection between them. That theme is reflected on a larger scale when the pop trolls learn they are one of 6 tribes tied to a different musical genre. In addition, there's techno, country, hard rock, funk, and classical trolls. And each group boasts a different string, a reminder of how they used to be together until musical differences tore them apart. Queen Barb, Rachel Bloom, a mohawked metalhead with attitude, has sinister aspirations of one nation of trolls under rock. And she's on a world tour invading all the tribes so she can attach all 6 strings to her axe and play the ultimate power chord, turning everybody into rock zombies. The ever-peppy Poppy believes everyone can live in harmony. The skeptical Branch argues that the strings lead to fighting, and Barb is a major threat to everything they know and love. Directed by Walt Dorn, World Tour features a ton of recognizable songs from each of the associated genres, plus some originals. There's no earthwormy Can't Stop the Feeling this time, though Perfect for Me is a decent love ballad for Branch and Poppy. The A-list guest stars are also top-notch. You can't beat George Clinton and Mary J. Blige as Quincy and Essence, the funky rulers of the spaceship Bop City, and Kelly Clarkson voices Delta Dawn, the mayor of country-fried Lonesome Flats. It's Bloom's Barb, though, who brings the most pure energy to the sequel. Metal god Ozzy Osbourne has a neat cameo as Barb's daddy, King Thrash. While young fans will bop their heads to a pop medley including Who Let the Dogs Out and Gangnam Style, the Trolls sequel cleverly addresses real-world issues of cultural appropriation. The funk trolls are irked that the pop trolls stole their music back in the day, the importance of diversity, and how individualism doesn't have to mean intolerance. There's also a super Empire Strikes Back nod with a bunch of bounty hunters Barb recruits, including the Kenny G.S. smooth jazz troll named Chaz, Jamie Dornan. Leaning hard into messaging about finding one's old musical soul, Trolls World Tour is above average animated fare for the masses that'll win over more people because we're all social distancing than it otherwise might, and that's okay. If children want to try out some Parliament Funkadelic on their mom and dad's Spotify afterward, then it's a job well done. Now we will look at a video game review example. This is a review of Animal Crossing: New Horizons. Just a few minutes into Animal Crossing: New Horizons, fans of the series will immediately feel like they are at home. For a game that's about the simple things in life, collecting bugs, selling them for bells, falling further and further into debt with an anthropomorphic raccoon, the actual introduction mirrors that conceit nicely. The same charm that has made the Animal Crossing franchise one of the most quirky and beloved in Nintendo's stable of exclusive is omnipresent within New Horizons. Tom Nook is still Tom Nook, but he's dressed more like a dad on vacation than a savvy business owner. The biggest challenge for Animal Crossing: New Horizons likely wasn't recapturing the magic that made nearly every iteration of the series a popular one among its burgeoning fan base. The true task at hand was creating a game that satisfies those players by innovating on the old formula and simultaneously offering up a welcoming point of entry into Animal Crossing for the uninitiated. Even with that tricky balance to maintain, Animal Crossing: New Horizon basically succeeds at everything it sets out to do, making it the deepest, probably, who knows how many events are planned for 6 months or a year of in-game time passing, and most intriguing Animal Crossing game yet. Animal Crossing New Horizons is unique to its franchise because of the way it approaches building up relationships with villagers as the player progresses through the world. Instead of moving into a town that is partially established or, at the very least, has the basics of civilization baked in, New Horizons ships players off to a deserted island with Tom Nook, his children, and a few other enterprising villagers. The idea is executed beautifully, mixing the more addictive parts of survival-style gameplay with the already infectious cheer of the writing and character design in every Animal Crossing. It's extremely satisfying, for instance, when players finally get to build a bridge that connects one chunk of the island to another over a river. Menial tasks like basic construction and do-it-yourself projects feel much more important in New Horizons, thanks to the way the game progresses, with each new task opening up something else and making the island gradually feel more like a more traditional village. As more characters move in and more resources open up, it truly feels like the player has guided the evolution of this once desolate island into a bustling town full of personality. Animal Crossing New Horizons gives players very few tools to start, and most of the ones players get access to will need to be built by them. For that reason, the game begins rather slowly. Progression through the first few days, which are tied into real time, can be painfully slow and gated by resource renewal. There's a limited number of natural resources on the island, after all, and some of them aren't accessible right away. Players who need wood from more trees will need to plant them and wait, unless they unlock the pole vaulting tool that lets them traverse rivers. That type of progression doesn't last long, though, and it's helped by the fact that Animal Crossing New Horizons lets players visit other islands through their own location's airport basically right away. Those islands also have materials, alongside with the occasional new character to meet and new flora or fauna to bring home. The airport will also let players visit online locations, ensuring there will rarely be a shortage of things to do when their own island is refreshing its offerings. Progression through Animal Crossing New Horizons is the most satisfying it's been in the series too. Nook Miles, they're exactly what they sound like, let players accomplish tasks throughout their game and accumulate points in a system that then rewards them with more tools used to progress. It's a satisfying feedback loop, and it's tied into the player's cell phone, which also lets them use photo mode, see their New Horizons do-it-yourself recipes, and more. Fans of paying off debts to Tom Nook can rest assured that there is plenty to be talked into as well. The never-ending loop of chipping away at one debt just to be convinced into another ensures that players will almost always have an end goal. Other new features in Animal Crossing's New Horizon are similarly impressive. Being able to more strictly dictate how and where villagers settle down is nice, as is the player's inventory, which can grow to more items than ever. Animal Crossing New Horizons also adds auto-saves as a new feature to the series. A nice failsafe for those who have known the pain of making hours of progress and then shutting the game off without remembering to save manually. Longtime fans will also be excited to discover that the ability to import old designs, coupled with more depth in furniture customization and layout, makes creating the dream Animal Crossing home more of a reality than ever before. The most compelling new feature of Animal Crossing New Horizons is the ability to terraform the player's island. The island designer skill might take some time to acquire, but with good reason. It shifts the game's perspective from grappling with the environment the villagers have found themselves in to outright putting it in a headlock and making it exactly what they want. It's perfectly timed, coming around the progression point where the island's generated design can begin to feel taxing on creativity. Once it's unlocked, the game becomes even more compelling. It's also the kind of feature that provides an incredible amount of depth for hardcore fans, but is also easy to explore for those who are more casually interested in the new skill. With that said, Animal Crossing New Horizons can feel like it drags a little in spots. A strong example of this tedium is the construction of the museum, which features bugs, aquatic life, and fossils that have been donated by the player. Early in getting it started, there are rewards for each edition. Eventually, though, the rewards dry up, and donations in the dozens simply get the player a pat on the back and a request for more in the future. These feedback loops of grind, reward, and grind more, getting interrupted at seemingly random intervals, can be a frustrating experience, though not one that threatens to ruin the game's feel as a whole. If Animal Crossing New Horizons aims to offer a second life, then it stands to reason there would be at least some flaws in it to help it more closely mirror the real thing. It's interesting to see just how far Animal Crossing's New Horizons pushes the series and just how flexible it has ended up being. With so many twists in the gameplay formula many have come to know and love, there was a chance that New Horizons would do too much and end up a daunting mess. Instead, it's as welcoming as ever, with the added benefit of offering the freshest look in an Animal Crossing fans have ever had. While the game can be a bit plodding in places, it's never enough to detract from the way it oozes happiness at every turn. It may not be the most technically impressive or innovative game ever created, but Animal Crossing New Horizons is one of the most enjoyable releases over the last couple years. While it's tough to say how well it will hold up over a span of months or years, and that is one of the selling points, it's not difficult to wholeheartedly recommend as yet another incredible Nintendo Switch exclusive.